gotta do the opening thing anyway. Oh, we didn't do it.
Welcome back, We Rise Podcast. What's going on, fellas? Let's go.
Marvin.
Who's Marvin? Oh, Marvin. Marvin, what up? How you doing down there,
Good
brother?
to see you, man.
All right.
Been a while. It feels like it's been a whole week since I seen you.
Whole week.
Yeah.
I got a week back, about a week
You want to
back.
introduce our friend?
Oh, I thought we were gonna do that now.
Well, might as well say he's sitting here. Might as well say his name at least.
All right.
Right?
It's my man Curly. Curly's gonna be our guest tonight.
Yeah.
He's gonna give us some good stuff to chew on.
There you go.
We're gonna get to that in a little bit. And
buddy.
Yeah, some good stuff coming. Curly had a good story.
Yeah, just here to help.
Just
yeah,
saying help,
that's
right?
what I like. That's what I
we're
like.
all here to do, really, right? We're all here to help.
but first of all, we have to. I'm sorry.
That's a life mission, I think. You know.
First of all, we got to give our condolences out to the Spina family. Ali Spina, from my understanding, has passed on, and we're gonna do a complimentary 10 count for him. Should we do that now?
May God lift you up, brother.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It seems like COVID and so many people are dropping off. Like, so many people are just dying. Like,
Yeah, 2020's been rough. You know, I don't think a lot of people are gonna be missing 2020. That's for sure.
I'm not.
No, definitely. I mean, it's been a lot of changes, a lot of people losing their businesses and homes, and well, not really the homes because the banks will let them keep it for a little while, but
No,
jobs.
people are losing that now though because
throwing people out of
the
there.
housing market
It's a
went
bias.
crazy. It's a buyer's market because of everything, right? Because everybody got their stimuluses and this and that and other thing. So now people that are living in certain homes, the landlords are selling the homes, trying to get everybody to move out. So
Yeah, they're
everybody's
trying to cash in.
everybody's being like, how do they say, displaced?
Mm-hmm.
You know, looking for new places while some people are getting new homes, some people are being kicked out of their homes, looking for new homes, and it's crazy. It's a
rough time.
There's a lot of like nonsense going on in that area.
Watch. Be cautious of like the market crashing again.
Yeah,
like it did
yeah.
Before, because of what's happening.
The other thing I like to say too is, what about the landlords that are boosting these rents up to $1,300-$1,400 for like one and two bedroom apartments, right? So
That they
I
don't,
don't-
that they don't keep up on.
they don't. Yeah, so it's like they're not like these nice done over apartments. Why do they believe that these people are not going to come in with their stimulus checks or whoever gave them a check to move out early or whatever, and then go back to their everyday $20-$25 an hour job and not be able to keep up with this, $1,300-$1,400 a week, a month bill. You know what I'm saying? So now you're gonna have months and months where you're trying to bring people to court, kick them out. Like, how is this intelligent what they're doing to them out? Like,
Well,
it makes no
Curly's
sense to me.
Curly's actually in the real estate business, so maybe he has some insight on that.
Yeah, I feel like personally, like I thought about the same point that you were making, and I feel like they should have appraisers for rent too, not just for like valuing homes. Like, for example, like if you're gonna buy a house, the bank, before they give you a loan, they send an appraiser to make sure that the house is worth the loan that they're gonna give you. And I feel like for rent, there should be like a middleman, something like that, where like, okay, that house is worth that money, and then you can pay that. But if it's not worth that, then you can't charge more than this.
Right.
Just
I
to have
like
some sort
that.
of oversight. I thought about it, but
That's a good
I
idea,
don't
actually.
know how you make something like that happen.
Well, what happens is these
people
guys
get
are going to
taken
price
advantage of.
themselves out of the market, because what happens is you make your rent so high, people can't afford it. So my
they
thing is,
seem like they can at first
right, but at first,
because they got the stimuluses
but
and
that ain't
all
gonna
this other
last.
money.
So my thing is, what I would do if I was a landlord is keep the rent reasonable so you can keep somebody there for a long period of time.
Exactly.
Because to me is the constant,
Yeah.
revenue coming in versus changing it every 6 months, a year. Now you gotta clean it out, do it again, get a new tenant in there. You might go a month or two before you
Month or
find
two, you might
somebody.
go. And right now with the COVID, I think they can't even you don't even have to move out for whatever, how many, 4,
Right.
5, 6 months, whatever.
You know, and you're not getting any money, so you're
So
better off.
shame on them landlords, honestly. Shame on them.
You know, it's more than the landlords. It's the banks that they're holding the landlords accountable to pay these mortgages on the houses too. What about those people?
Yeah, and
about,
it messes
you
up the
know?
good landlords too. There's
Yeah,
landlords
yeah,
that
yeah.
take care of their property, and now people out of work, they can't pay their mortgage. You know, it's like it's a crazy situation.
So also, you go to buy a house right now, it seems like they're bidding wars, and you got to
People
pay
get a ridiculous
$15,000, $20,000, $30,000 more than
Some
they're
people
even
get
asking.
50 to 100.
And if you don't overbid, you don't get it.
Yeah, if you go asking price,
It's sad.
as a real estate agent, if you ask me to put an asking price, we can't talk. Because
can't
you're
even
not
put an
getting
asking
it. You're just wasting your time and my time. That's kind
Yeah.
of the market that's where it's at.
It's
right
really
now.
a starting point.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah,
Crazy.
yeah.
It's more like let's see where this goes. You know.
So now you know the interest rate are low, but the mortgages are through the roof because you're paying an extra $50,000-$100,000 for these houses, and then when the economy crashes, right, and you lose the jobs or you lose the people, you lose the tenants because your rents are so high because you paid so much on your mortgage. Now you're losing your house. Guess where the house is going? Back to the bank. The guy with the money in the first place.
Yeah. Every
So,
bubble
so
pops.
it's really a setup. It's really a setup for you to fail. So if people were intelligent right now, they wouldn't even buy houses unless
Very wealthy.
you're flipping them or just keeping them. And they're good.
Banks own them anyway at the end of the day.
Yeah, they don't win. They're not in the business to lose.
No.
Yeah.
So I want to just touch on a couple of things. So we had, if I don't know who's following the NCAA tournament, we had, I think the championship game is tonight, as a matter of fact. I think it's Gonzaga and who's the other team?
Gonzaga against Baylor.
Baylor, okay, yeah. So, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, but anyway, if you saw the Gonzaga game out there, they beat UCLA in overtime. With time running out on almost like a half-court shot. The guy throws it up, and boom, he hits it. UCLA was the 11th seed. Gonzaga was the number 1 seed. They haven't lost a game all season. It's going to be one of the few teams in history, if they win tonight, to have the perfect season. I think it hasn't been done since UCLA.
It's Kentucky in the 90s, I believe, had it.
Did they do 96 maybe?
I like Gonzaga. I
Okay.
like Gonzaga.
Yeah.
But I was telling somebody, to me, that's the worst way to lose. At the last second on a buzzer beater in a game that you've worked I would rather get blown out.
Yeah, Patriots in the Super Bowl.
Exactly, you go to-
Giants.
So what do you guys think? Would you rather get blown out by 20 or lose by 1 in the last second? I mean, it's still a loss at the end of the day.
You should put up a
By
fight.
one, right.
You put up a fight.
One
But here's
means
the-
you're in it, right?
No, but here's
Either one could have won.
Right. 20 means you just got.
But here's my
voted
thing.
out
Here's my reasoning on that, right? If you lose by a point, then you can for like 6 months or whatever it is to get over it. You're thinking, if we would have just made that one play, if we would have just did this, if we would have got that loose ball, like your mind would just play on you. If we would have just did this, if you get blown out, you get blown out. There's no.
You don't feel like you can grow more from thinking about all the things you could have
Yeah,
done.
yeah. There's
You
room
know,
for
I think
improvement
say
with
you're a
that.
senior and you got no more thinking that's it. Your college career is over, and the whole goal of your college career was to win a national championship. Or you're going to the NBA next year because now you're good enough. So I don't know. I just think if you lose by 1 point like that in the last second, I don't know if it was 1 or 2 points. I don't remember, but
You know, that's a good point, but, you know, when you think about what you're saying, you know, Pitchy being in UCLA's position, the clock's running out, they're like ready to celebrate. Ball's on the other end of the court, right? That ball goes up. It's almost like,
Who knows?
it's almost like, you know what, you take it on the chin because that happens once in a lifetime,
Yeah.
and it was supposed to happen that way. I guess, you know, you got to take it on the chin. If I was sitting there, if I was a UCLA player, and I seen him throw the ball up right before I was ready to celebrate, and that moment, you know, It happens when they throw Hail Mary in the Super Bowl. Doug Flutie, right? Doug Flutie's Hail Mary in the Cotton Ball, right? Rose Bowl.
Boston College, yeah.
Boston College.
Boston College against Miami. That was
Miami
that was like a
against-
regular season game. He did it.
It was it?
Yeah, that was a regular season game.
That Hail Mary.
Yeah.
So that happens in sports. You know. That's
But it's
why
harder-
they say
it's harder to
not a-
swallow that pill,
It
I
is-
think.
Well, it is harder, but
You know, the last second. I mean, if he would have missed the shot, they would have went in a double overtime. So it wasn't like they were going to win because they still would have had another 5 minutes, I think, to play. But the point is, they worked so hard to get to that point. Like I said, you're playing the number one team in the country.
and to give them their first loss.
That would have been awesome, you know. And you go to the championship game, and nobody expected you to do it.
Yeah, and now Gonzaga is going to win it all.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. You never know, man.
Yeah, no,
Baylor's
like-
pretty tough.
I know that. I like. They got a winning mentality. They know how to win.
Over for the last 15 years or so, they've been
Yeah.
pretty solid.
Yeah.
What if you were John Howard fighting this guy they called Superman, right? He beats him all 3 rounds. There's like a few seconds left in the third round. In the last round, he gets up, throws a bomb, and knocks him out and wins.
But in the fight game, you know, one punch can change. Like you could be
You know what
down.
I'm saying? So if you're Superman, I forget what was his name, but they call him Superman. If you're Superman, do you feel better about
Superman,
winning the whole fight, or losing the whole fight and losing, or winning the whole fight and losing?
I would feel horrible because obviously I had the fight in the bag. I made
made that
one
one
mental
mistake.
mistake, and now the fight's gone. You know.
Man, that would have been sick.
Yeah.
Man, I'm going in the phone booth. Put my shades on,
Yeah.
walk around like Clark.
I don't know. I just like I said, it's tough, and because in sports like basketball, college basketball, you might have that one season where you make it that far, and your team could never make it there again, or be another 20 years before you get to that point.
Yeah.
So the other thing is too, if you guys, people out there, sports fans, UConn women, they got beat, and they were 30, like 35-1, and they get.
Wow.
I think it's like the 4th time they got beat in a semifinal game.
In college basketball, is there any other team besides UConn women?
It is now. A lot of these other teams they lost to Arizona.
Wow.
They got handled too. It wasn't like it was. I think they lost by like 10, but they weren't leading the whole game. They were getting beat the whole game.
So they were losing.
But I mean, it's not like they're expected to win every year because of their program.
dominance, right?
But they haven't won a title, I think, since 2014 or 15, something like that. So it's been a while. Anywho,
Yeah.
I wanted to bring up the John Jones thing.
I thought you said you wasn't doing it.
Let's go. I wanted to bring it up for the boxing fans. If there's any boxing fans out there on my Facebook or watching on YouTube, comment on this. So John Jones keeps tweeting saying, why isn't he able to make boxing money? You know what I'm saying, on this fight? So he's basically saying, I don't want the 10 million that he knows they're going to offer, because that's a lot of money in MMA and UFC, $10 million. Because his whole career, he only got $2 million all those years.
Some fights he was getting 500,000.
Well, yeah, so
Yeah.
$1 million to fight, $1 million to win. You know what I mean? Like, well, whatever the case was, but it was like $2 million, and he was fighting the best of the best. Title defense after title defense for years and years, and now he's saying, "Show me the money," but. Me and you was talking earlier. Yeah, show me the money. I'm fighting a killer.
The thing,
I need this money just in case.
see, back in the
Why is he
day,
not
go 10 years ago. Dana White's excuse was, "We are not boxing. They've been around a lot longer than us."
Yeah.
Well, UFC is probably taking in more money than boxing, probably by double or triple right now. They're really raking
At the
in
moment, with
right? That's
COVID and all that.
just their brand alone, because they have better fights. There's no real name. Who's the top fighter in the world right now?
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Well,
but you
boxing-
can name Jared Taylor.
Well, Canelo brings.
But yeah, but Canelo fights once or twice a year max. you
Yeah.
know? So, and the last 2 fights he's had have been against guys that were really not box office draws.
Yeah.
So my point is, the UFC is raking in the dough, big time. They're doing a
killing the
pay.
game.
They're doing a pay-per-view like every month, and then they're doing on TV shows, what do they call it, the Fight Night or whatever, Fight.
And their cards are sick.
So this is my question.
Put on good fights.
So this is my question: does Dana White stay stubborn and lose millions of dollars, or does he make it happen and give John Jones what he wants?
They're probably gonna make it
But here's the problem. If he does give John Jones, which I think he will, then you set a precedence now. And then the next guy who comes up is going to say, hey, you paid him. I might not be as good as him, but I can at least I want half of
But
that
think
money.
about it: if you own a business, Jared's, he owns a boxing gym, and he's gonna let, I don't know how to match it up, but like say, Jared's gonna put on a show here and like maybe either he puts on a show or he don't put on a show. But if he puts on a show, he's gonna have a couple guys he kind of don't want here maybe, and he puts on a show and they come and he makes a bunch of money, or he makes no money because it's like, nah, I don't want to agree with that guy. Or whatever.
I don't know what Dana's position is, but if I'm John Jones, I'd stay firm.
If I'm John Jones, I stay firm and take the hit for everybody else.
Right, I'd stay, and not for everybody else, just for himself because he's worth it.
For himself, 'cause
he's the
worth it,
greatest.
but somebody's got to stand up, man.
Right, he's the
This
greatest
guy-
MMA
they're
fighter
like
in-
bullies.
Yeah,
UFC's
they are.
bullies.
And they tie you with the way they structure their contracts.
Contracts,
Yeah.
yeah.
So they won't release you. You got to stay
You
there.
can't fight no other organization.
You're stuck.
Yeah, they do you dirty.
They only do that with their top guys.
Yeah.
Everybody else, they get 2-3 fight contracts.
But
Yeah.
that's all promoting boxing. They got it from boxing.
For
sure.
They learned from boxing the corruption and
Tightened it up.
Yeah, are you kidding me? They tightened it up and they changed the literature. But boxing.
What
it's
was the
all
name of the
same.
card?
It's all
Of
the same.
Canelo's last card? It was Canelo versus whoever, right? The name of the card.
I don't know.
Every single UFC fight is UFC 253, UFC 254. It's never John Jones versus
It's
Ngannou.
UFC.
You
It's
know what
about
I'm saying?
the
It's
UFC.
giving them the power. if they do
These
that.
dudes took it to another level than boxing.
Now here's another thing they did is they cut out every other
Promotion.
There's no promoters, but
They buy 'em.
It's Dana White is the main guy.
Yeah.
And he has a matchmaker, and that's
Why
it.
is
I feel like
Bellator-
there's cons and pros with that, right? So if you have promoters, you pay the fighters, which is great, but then you don't get the fights that you actually want. And then the
Because
other-
the promoters have all the leverage.
Exactly.
Just
so
like in
like
boxing.
Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence should have been fought, right?
Yeah,
We don't
yeah.
get that because they can't come together. So that's like the good thing about the UFC. What sucks is that they don't get paid. Like the fighters don't get paid what they're supposed to get paid. So it's like cons and pros. I don't know if you can ever get to like a middle ground with that.
If I'm I think UFC's. It's hard to say. I don't want to say it's more dangerous than boxing because in boxing you're taking more headshots consistently. Where
Sometimes.
UFC you could do a lot of wrestling, you
gotta-
can do
you
leg
can,
kicks.
but-
Boxing you're taking way more headshots. I think overall.
Longer periods.
Right, for
Unless
longer
you
periods.
watch a couple, there's like Korean Zombie versus Garcia.
But those fights are few and far
Like they're like
between.
Mickey Ward versus
Yeah, Arturo Gotti.
type
Yeah,
of
yeah,
fights.
those are far between. So
Yeah.
I look at it as, these guys are risking their lives. Literally, UFC, you get a leg kick, blow your ACL or something. Now
Yeah.
you can't fight for a year. You get no income
Yeah.
because that's all they got. They don't have promotions.
And you
They-
kicked off the roster.
They kick you. If you lose two or three fights in a row,
You're
they
gone.
release you. Whereas boxing, you can lose 10 fights in a row. As long as somebody's ready to fight, you get another fight. It's different. So
Yeah.
the UFC, they got it on lock, and
They do.
I think John Jones should just stay firm on his position.
So
He definitely deserves the money.
that being said, how the UFC got on lock. What about the zone? They signed all these fighters, right? Why aren't they fighting each other? Why isn't Dimitri getting fights with Canelo or the Charlo brothers or anybody?
I
If
agree.
they're under the same promoter.
Comes down to the same thing. Somebody wants too much money, and the promoter says, "I don't think you're worth that."
So the promoter should be like, look, I said for him to fight him, and he didn't want to.
But
They
it's all-
should really be called out on this stuff. Because Dana White will be like, I wanted him to fight him. He didn't want to fight him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they
Why
don't bite,
need
he
to
don't
get-
bite his tongue.
Yeah, I think the zone needs to step up and start letting people like Dimitri or the Charlos or even like Haney and Garcia. Like let's let these guys
We gotta-
fight each
we gotta
other.
take
you
a
know what I
break
mean?
real
We're going to
quick.
take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Bam.
We get into
Curly.
our man Curly over here.
Yeah. Naked Sports Network.
Tony Takeout Report.
Look at that commercial. It's Ron doing his show. Look at his.
I want to be on that
That meat
show.
pie looks good. Look at that
I wanna be
kitchen.
on
Look
that
at Ron living good, the good life.
I know. He looks 20 pounds lighter over there.
When I moved up here, before us, no, when I moved up here, I took a picture of my kitchen and I texted it to Ron. And Ron was like out with somebody who's like creating his outfit. He told me, yo, why you sent me a picture of your kitchen? He's like, no, that's his kitchen. Ours look identical. That's
Oh, really? Yeah, that's nice.
It's bizarre as fuck.
Hey, we're on a break. We're on a break.
You're coming right back. Right?
No, you
There we
coming?
go, Jared. Tara, bring us in.
Welcome back. We Rise podcast. What's going on, Mob? Let's introduce our guest tonight.
Venus. Venus. That's how you say curly.
All right.
Nah, we gotta give you the whole full introduction.
Jared.
So good.
Not.
Hey,
I'm
Jared.
listening.
Curls.
Just listen.
Jared, how you doing? Mob,
So
how you-
I met Curly some years ago, and we talked. He helped me out with like vitamins and nutrients and things to help build my body up internally. And we started building from there and just kind of discussing health and nutrition. And man's a wealth of knowledge, and he's got an interesting story. A lot of things to I think to be a benefit to a lot of people out there who are listening. So we're going to just let Curly tell his story about where he came from and where he's at now. And I think if those of you who are listening right now will definitely want to reach out to him and get some more information. So bring us in, man.
Thank you for that nice intro. I'd like to say, first of all, that I feel honored to be on this podcast with you guys. You guys seem to have really good chemistry. And I think that that's the number one key to doing anything. You know, like, you know, the way you guys like bust each other's chops. I already know you guys get along really good. You know what I mean? So that's how I am with my friends. So if I can't be like that with someone after a certain level, it's like, what do we really have? You know what I'm saying? So that was like the first impression I got. And you guys were really helpful to people that were boxing. Like, that's...
So your last name,
I can
Curly.
see.
Let me hear you.
So Curly Venus.
Venus.
So I'll tell you a story behind that. It's supposed to be Curly Venus, but when I came to the U.S., there's no letter Enya, so it became an N, so I became Venus. So, and then back home, my name is Curly, no rolling of the R, so I became Curly. So it's like two different
So you
things.
got an alias. It was really,
It's all good, man. A whole different person. You know what I mean?
Customs, if you're watching, we didn't know.
Yeah,
New
and
start in a new world.
a blessing in disguise, though, because with a name like Curly, then, you know, you're in class, people are saying, every time they say your name in homeroom, they're like, Curly, and people are laughing. I'm like, and I don't know why they're laughing. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh, this guy's name is Curly, but I don't know why it's funny.
Right.
You know, so it made me want to learn a lot faster. I had to like really think about how I can speed up the amount of information that I can get inside my mind a lot quicker, because I just wanted to know what people were laughing at. You
So
know
tell
what I
us
mean?
where you're from.
So I'm from Dominican Republic. I was born there, and like I was telling Marvin in a conversation we had, it wasn't easy growing up over there, but I was lucky that I had a lot of cousins. My dad was around for a little bit. Long story short, he came to the U.S. I was still back there living with my mom, my sister, and another cousin that came to live with us, a girl cousin. She came to live with us when her mom passed away, so she basically became my sister. And I was basically told, oh, you're the man of the house, so I protected them to the best of my ability. At night, we have to lock the doors with chains, make sure you gotta lock windows and put sticks where people can't open windows and doors. So I slept next to my mom with a bat and a machete next to my bed. Just in case something happened, in my mind, I could do something about it, even though it's a skinny little twerp. But I gotta protect mom and sisters, gladly nothing ever happened like that. I heard it screaming in other houses, but in my house never really, we just got lucky, and nothing ever went down. But the good thing about living there was that the community, whenever something happened, people all came together to help you out. I definitely miss that part. I don't miss missing meals and all those crazy things. When there's if someone has running water for the day, you'll see a line from here to a half mile. And you have to open your doors because you may not have running water the next day, but your neighbor might have running water. You're going to depend on them. So everyone's always like, if I got, you got. I don't know how it is right now, but back then it was like that.
different parts of like the neighborhood have running water in different parts.
Yeah, it'll be the same neighborhood, and one house has water and nobody else has water.
Is there a reason for that?
Corruption?
Oh, just people shutting it off. turning
Yeah,
it
I
on?
think it's just, yeah, whoever's got the juice over there. Even with electricity, sometimes like electricity would just go up. Like there was no such thing as keeping ice, because like if you get lucky and get ice, you better use it right there and then, because it would just like go away, you know. So you end up like buying ice to make something. Some people have generators, you know. We didn't have that. Now most people do, because they know, you know, what's going on, and a lot of people.
Caught on to it.
Yeah, and it's a pretty modern country now since I left it. Like they got, I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff over there.
Have you been back?
Once I should have been back way more, but
How is it different?
yeah, it's you go there. I don't recognize. I had to like my cousin showed me a Google video of our neighborhood. I didn't recognize it. I had to like follow the video on Google Maps so I knew where it was, and I'm like, oh my god, that's that. Everything's a business because everyone's got to hustle, you know.
Yeah.
So fast forward, you get to the United States.
So I get to the U.S. Yep. I go to Bridger Middle School, and luckily I had a couple of cousins in school, and you know, and more came from the Dominican Republic as the years went by. But I really dedicated myself to like learning the whole new language, or becoming, you know, Americanized, if you will, you know, just to understand how people think, how things are going, like how they arrive at, you know, certain things. I was always been curious as to like, okay, you got there, but how did you do it? What did you go through to get that state of mind?
You talk about Americanized. Usually that's how you do it, right? You go to another country, you bring it to America. Once she's Americanized, you leave her, go back to another country. Bring her back. Once she's Americanized, go to another country. You go all over the map. Bring them back here when they get Americanized. Go get another one. I'm kidding.
Stay traditional. Basically, Jared's saying stay traditional.
You're joking around, but some people might be doing that.
If you're smart, you know, if you're smart, you're doing it. Go ahead.
We
I'm
love
sorry.
you. We love
Plug
cultures
it in
from
anytime you
everywhere.
want, man. It's all
I
good.
couldn't help myself.
I go to high school, Central High School. That's when things started getting a little crazy because hormones are going nuts. You're like 14, 15 years old. I got a ton of cousins that are older than me. I was kind of like one of the youngest ones. And they're going to the beach, cutting class, smoking weed. And I'm like, man, this is cool, man. You know, like I had never experienced any of that stuff. So it was kind of like my dad was very, very, very strict at home. So I never really got to like ride my bikes with my friends all over the place. My dad always had to know where I was, which in hindsight, it's good. Not a bad thing. You know, it can also go the opposite way where you're so restricted that when you do get out there,
Once the cuffs are off, you just start going.
and that's exactly what happened. I wanted to experience the world, and so once him and my mom got divorced, you couldn't find me at home because I wanted to experience life, and I feel like that's where the imbalance was in my life, where like I just wanted to like whatever was out there, I wanted to experience it. You know, obviously I was always kind of watching, never like doing crazy stuff. I wanted to be out there, fooling around with girls, kind of like what everybody
See how
went through. You
important
know?
that is, though, having a mother and a father there.
Yeah, we had that show that nobody
That's where
forget about.
things changed right there. You remember we was talking about
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, it was crazy. And then once my dad left, that, you know, like, it got crazy again, you know, and it was just like trial and tribulations. But looking back, you know, I was very lucky to have even the cats that were in the street that were like really like crazy drug dealers. They were like, man, I don't want you to get into this, man. Like you're different. You're not. I always had some sort of respect towards me because I think I respected them, and I was never trying to be in that world because it wasn't like what I was trying to do, and they knew that. I wasn't trying to show off. And be like, oh, I didn't care for it, you know.
It's funny you say that because same type of thing. I was always boxing. I was very good at it, and the guys I was hanging with were like, it was a tough crowd. They were robbing banks. They were like serious, and I would be their friend, and my loyalty never left them. But I didn't go and do what they did. I didn't take that ride at 11 o'clock. I went home because I knew I had a fight coming up, and I didn't wanna be that. But I couldn't get away from it. I couldn't escape it either. So it was like, you know, there was a time where, you know, my friend that I lived at the house, there was all stolen motorcycles parked in my yard, you know, just a lot of different things that were in my house at my place, but I wasn't that extra, you know? So I can
I
relate to
totally
that.
relate to that, man. I was watching it all happening, and I partook in some of it, you know, but nothing to
Same.
the point where like I was like harming anyone. I was always always sort of like, if you can call it, like kind of scared, you know, like I'm seeing guys going to jail, and I'm like, man, what's my mom gonna think of me going to jail? She didn't. Like I always thought about that, where like my dad, you know, like typical man, you know, in general, like not showing much affection, like, and you know, as a young kid, you don't understand why you don't get that, so you question. But the other thing that balanced me out was my mom's dialogue and my mom's love, like her explanation of things and the way she broke things down to me.
Right.
I remember we had moved to a different neighborhood back in the Dominican Republic where we were living in a really nice spot, and then we moved to a crazy place, and my mom was like, listen, this place is different. All those guys are they're gonna test you, they're gonna try to pick on you. So you have to stand your ground. You can't come home crying because somebody hit you. I'm not gonna accept that. I'm gonna spank you. She told me straight up, she goes, if you come home crying because somebody hit you and you didn't stand your ground, you're gonna get spanked, and I'm gonna make you fight the guy again.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Old school mom.
Yeah.
That's how my mom was.
yeah. And so I was like doing the math. I'm like, shit. I'd rather just get one spanking than two. You know,
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
lose
yeah.
the fight.
So Curly, your mom and dad, how was that relationship? Were they together?
They're not together, no. They got divorced when I was like 14, 15.
So that's a good, you know, that's kind of not what I was hoping to hear, but
Yeah.
it's off of my question is, how was mom with the relationship with dad? Did she promote it?
So my mom was she was good, man. She would tell me, call your dad, because she understood, like, if a son or a daughter doesn't call their parents want to hear from their kids, man. They kind of like want to know, like, that you
Amen.
still love them, all the work that they put into you growing up, keeping you safe, and, you know, they want to be somewhat acknowledged. I mean, your daughter, your dad, or your son says, oh, Papi, I love you. Dude, that's my whole day right there.
Yeah,
I don't need
that's-
anything
yeah,
else.
that's
You know what I
everything.
mean? So, like,
With you.
from my mom, I wasn't thinking about that because obviously back then I wasn't a dad, I wasn't a parent, and I was just an idiot. You know, like I didn't think about anyone else but myself. So, and she would always encourage me to call.
It's rare though, you know, the parents aren't together and your mom's encouraging.
I'm
It's-
telling you, my
it's
mom's my
rare.
savior, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, you know, mothers should take a little lesson from this, how important it is, regardless of your relationship with the husband, the ex-boy, who cares?
Yeah.
Put your ego away, because it's not about you, it's about the kids. And that comes down to ego and power and control and all them other great words that come with
All those other
the way,
great
the way
words,
people are.
And it's short-sighted because that child's gonna grow up one day, right?
Yeah.
And know all the crap you were talking about the other parent. They grew up and they understand that life is not just like, oh, it takes two to tango, and then they're gonna realize they have some sort of resentment.
Even if there's nothing said now, there'll be a time where their story will be told. And they'll say names, they'll say places, they'll say dates. There will be a time where you'll have a platform to tell your story. And that's the way it goes. That's just the way the cookie crumbles.
So now,
So-
I met you in a specific location under specific circumstances. I'm just curious how you got to that point, and like the knowledge that you have in that field is pretty extensive.
Yeah,
And let's talk about how you use that knowledge to help people and help benefit folks.
I got you. So I'll tell you how I arrived at it. When I was 22 years old, I was at a party, and before I got there, I was smoking and drinking. I was at home. I was just planning to stay home. Some of my friends, and you know, there was some of them were party heads, and I was just content to just be at home. My boy was just chilling, you know. And one of them was like, "Hey, let's go to Club Riviera." It's like a little bit further than the Portuguese club on the left side. Yeah. And so I go, I was like, okay, so I'm just there sitting, drinking a Heineken, I think, sitting with my cousin, and a crazy fight breaks out.
Sure it wasn't me?
For sure.
Or me. Wait a minute.
No, man. Trust me.
Marvin was working
We
the
have, and so I got up because that's your first instinct to kind of like know what's going on because your survival instincts kick in. And I noticed it was one of the kids that lived behind me, his younger cousin, which basically was like sort of like my little brother. He would come up
to my house and play with me. His sister would play with my sister because his older cousin kind of like rejected him. So he's like hanging out with other guys and he thinks he's cool. I'm like, I don't care if he's young. He can play Street Fighter with me, you know what I mean? Like, we're playing baseball. I was always the young one, so I didn't mind having a younger person around. It's not right to, to out someone because of that. So anyway, and I saw him and I basically like just, it was like Grand Theft Auto where all 5 stars just went off. Boom! And I went to help him. I know there were like 10 dudes just like destroying this dude. It was like a cartoon. He'll get punched, fly to one side. The other guy hit him. He flew to one side, and I like
Oh,
tackled.
so that was your friend that was getting.
It was like, yeah, my younger friend.
Oh,
And so I blanked out and just started helping him. It became this other crazy brawl. People get hit with chairs, and it was a horrific night. So they definitely outnumbered us. And long story short, I ended up getting like all kinds of I was blocking bats, like they hit me with a bat. I was like, boop. I remember hearing the sound like on my wrist, and another one from the back, like, boop. And I'm like holding 2 bats. If I let one go, I'm hurt. But if I try to go for one and I get a hold of a bat, I used to play baseball, so if I swing a bat, it's all over. But the thing is, like, if I let one go, I'm gonna get cracked. So I was able to manage to get away. I ran the other way. They were like, oh, this guy's a little girl. He ran, but I had other plans. So they all went and started hitting my cousin. I ran away. I picked up a bunch of rocks. I also used to pitch. And so I went up to the group of guys that were hitting my cousin. I hit them all with rocks. So they all came to me, and that's when I got destroyed, But long story short, I realized that you don't necessarily have to be looking for trouble to find you. Like, I didn't even consider that could happen to me that night. Like, I came so close to, like, basically death because I was getting hit. I was on the floor, getting hit with crowbars, bats, getting kicked. Both my ribs were broken. I got a big split on my head. So, just like you, after a moment like that, you basically have to literally think about your life and what it means to others. It's not just about you.
Growing pains, bro.
But luckily I
Couple
made
bottles,
Yeah, luckily I made it, and dialoguing, I got lucky that I bumped into I met a guy that was about 60-some years old. Started dropping gems on me. I wasn't ready before, but I was ready then. Asking me questions that I had never been asked, And I'm like, oh, nah, like, that's crazy. Like, just like things that were deep, and it made me think. And because I thought, I was like, you know what, let me get away from this crazy crowd because I never really got anywhere doing that. I went and applied at Whole Foods Market on the east side, the one on Waterman Street, before the North Main Street opened, the store opened on North Main Street, and before the Cranston Street store opened. So it was called Brenda Circus then. And then from there, I was just a bagger. After 2 years, I was like, I'm not learning anything bagging. For me, I always have to like learn something new. And from there, the store on North Main Street opened, so I applied to the nutrition department. And that's kind of like when everything started, when my boss was like, the best thing you're going to do is just read this book. He gave me like 10 books, and I was just like reading. Not that I remembered everything, but just to get familiar with the questions people were going to ask, detoxification, herbs. At first, I was just talking the stuff that I was hearing from people that was on the floor. I didn't really know, because also science back then, it was good, but it wasn't as good as it is now, right? And the field wasn't as big as it is now, where we have all kinds of information. If it's not, let's say, double placebo, you got a lot of anecdotal evidence. So, like, for example, like if there's not a scientist making sure that this herb does this and that, but I got like 500 people telling me that they felt this way and that way when they took it, there's something to it, right? Maybe 500 people can have placebo, but at the same time, it's like, let's try it. If it's not harmful, it's an herb. You can try it. And basically, I got to know a lot of intimate things about herbs and supplements because people were telling me what they were feeling. I've always made it my business to ask, hey, I just want some feedback. Like, just let me know how you feel, how you felt, your frequency in which you were taking those supplements. And just try to be mindful of how your body is reacting in your mind. And I would always get that feedback. And over the years of 19 years, it was like all these things just coming into my mind, And as of the last 5 years is when I really stepped up my game. That's when I really started doing a lot of research, man. I started going into the actual science and listening to the actual scientists of how they explain things. And it completely changed the way I thought about everything, because up to that point, I was basically regurgitating what somebody on the floor was saying or somebody on a YouTube video was saying. But when you actually start going to the studies or actually listening to someone that can explain and translate a study into knowledge that you can actually utilize and help other people, it changes everything, because now you can actually help someone, you know, instead of like, oh yeah, this is good for that, but you don't know how to tell them to take it, health issues that they might have and things like that.
It's sort of like a boxing coach. You know, it's sort of if you don't know why somebody's doing what they're doing, then how do you teach them? How do you explain it?
The sweet science
It's
behind
the
it.
sweet science, and you know, that's what Bob was telling us. You know, no matter what he asked, no matter what he wanted to know, he said you were spot on. You knew about everything that he asked about. Great service there.
I mean, it was personal, because you're dealing with human beings' lives. And if someone asked me a question I didn't know, I don't know. I don't know, because it's your life, you know, and but it made me like, okay, let me go research this stuff, and then I'll have something for next time, you know. So it kind of like, I looked at it as like an opportunity to know what I didn't know, and then kind of like tighten up in those areas.
You said something yesterday. You said you got this passion, this drive to help people.
Yeah.
And share knowledge. And you know, I talk to Jared and Todd a lot, and a lot of times people don't share knowledge with each other. You know, we in here as trainers, we share our knowledge and understanding of a certain particular thing to the students that come here or people that come in that want to know. But typically, if people don't just share information, they want to get paid for it, they want to get some type of compensation, and other than that, there's a selfish part for them
Right.
in order to share that knowledge.
Or they're not sure of themselves, or a pride issue or something.
Something, but you said yesterday that you really had this desire to give back and share information and knowledge. You know,
Yeah.
where'd that come from?
So much was given to me, man. You know, the tidbits of information along the way in my life that made a big difference in my life. Like, hey, be careful when you go here or there. Like, those little things completely saved my life in many ways. So all it is, we're given the same kind of energy, but in a different tone. Like if somebody was like from the street and they were like, be careful when you go there, because now you're just flipping it in a way where it's just more like dealing with someone's health, right? They can pass it along to their parents, extend their parents' life by maybe a year. That's a lifetime for someone sometimes, you know? And so just growing up and valuing life in general, you understand that people have families and they also value their life for the most part. They value their children's life, their mom. There's been situations where, I'll tell you one in particular where like, it really like made me like actually cry, man. So a guy comes into the store and says, hey man, I'm looking for 280 milligrams of ferrous sulfate. That's basically like iron from a pipe. Like you can't really supplement that without getting a stomach ache, you know? And I was like, you look like a strong guy, very healthy. I was like, why are you being prescribed 280 milligrams of iron? He's like, oh, it's not for me, it's for my mom. She has cancer. She's going through chemo, but she can't do the chemotherapy because she is very nauseous. She's extremely, she's just lacking iron. She's extremely deficient in iron, and she's basically 1 foot in, 1 foot out. She can't even get the treatment for it. So I said, look, if you give this to your mom, she's going to throw up in your face. Like, she's not going to be able to handle it. So I was like, what you should do is try to find some sort of iron supplement that's actually mimicking closer to a food, so that it's not really conflicting, because when they give you like minerals, especially iron is a very tough molecule, it's very dense, and not being accompanied by like other amino acids or in the form of a food, you're basically taking in the metal. Your body's not going to handle that correctly, right? So especially someone who's compromised. And he, you know, credit to him, he listened to me. I showed him a couple of products that actually have clinical research. He's like, we got nothing to lose at this point, man. My mom, they gave her like 4 to 6 months to live at this rate. And I was like, I'm not trying to be a doctor, man. I just want you to understand how your mom's body is going to process these things. The decision is to you and your family. So long story short, he took it, came back a month and a half later, and told me that his mom's first time she hasn't needed a blood transfusion because she was taking a supplement, you know. So I knew right there and then, I was like, okay, I'm onto something here. Right? Because the impact of me just telling him that, but him coming back and telling me, it's different. I just with that little bit of information, you had a whole impact on someone's life, their family, someone's grandma, someone's sister, someone's mom. And so I literally from there I was like, you know what, man, I can have a big effect on people. I may not think that I know a lot, and I know compared to like other beasts, like I may not know, but the little bit that I know, I can help. You know what I mean? And if I can have an impact like that with 5 minutes worth of information, like man, we can have way bigger impacts with other things. You know?
So all I want to do is talk about, you said something about your spiritual journey too that you were on. So we're going to get into that when we come back. We're going to take a break real quick, and then we'll pick up there and then bring it home. Matt? Yeah. Welcome back.
Whoa.
Exactly.
Whoa.
Everybody's
Go on, Jared.
distracted.
Jared, where you at? We're gonna go to We Rise today.
Hi, this is Robert Budd. I'm calling
Go outside and come
from
back in,
International. How are you
Not
today?
Robert.
Go outside and come back in.
So let's get back to where you were saying that that you said that path of trying to help people led you on a spiritual journey as well. And what did you come to find out on that journey? And what were you seeking? What were you looking for at the time?
Just basically trying to learn more about myself, man, and origins of things, of human beings, space, multi-dimension, like all these other things that come into your mind, and just to have some sort of knowledge on things, because you just realize how much you don't really know about anything. You just learn information.
The more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know.
You just don't know, but you want to know. Like especially me, I'm a curious person, and like I like to know things. But I know I'm not going to learn everything for sure. But I think it's a task worth undertaking, because the more you learn about yourself, I think the more you just help people, man. I think there's so much value in that it kind of like subtly became my life mission in a way. To just, even if I smiled at you, I don't know the impact that's going to have on your life.
People make things too complicated. You said it yesterday.
There it is. There it is.
People
Just a
make
smile,
things
man.
too
That's it.
complicated.
We don't realize.
And even now with the pandemic, the mask, nobody talks to each other. I went in a store the other day. This is true. Guys at the cash register, and I come up. I don't get a carriage, nothing. Me, no mask, carriage. I get things falling out of my arms. I come up and I put two things on the counter, and I might have went next to him, and he turns around. He's like, "Whoa, what's up with 6 feet?" I said, "Then get 6 feet." Am I doing something wrong? Like, come on.
6 feet.
Greg, over there, dude.
People are scared, Jared.
They're making everything so complicated. Please.
Scared.
Just
scared.
life is way too complicated now.
They're scared, and
Especially with
there's you know what it is? There's that lack of faith in anything. Never mind the gods. There's 365 scriptures that speak on fear in the Bible. Google it. 365. One for every day of the week.
Life isn't that complicated. Life is difficult.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. It's not designed to be easy. Put it in your mind. Life is not designed to be easy. It's designed to be difficult, to learn, to grow, you have to fall. You're gonna have pain and suffering. That's part of it. People run to the doctors, they run and they get counseling, and they get on pills, and they get on drugs, and yeah, that happens. But at the end of the day, if you already know, life is tough. If you're in a good situation, don't worry, it will change. If you're in a bad situation, don't worry, it will change. And that's, if you can have that perspective, that I know it's going to be difficult anyway. I know there's going to be ups and I know there's going to be downs, and when they come, you're prepared for it. So you already know. It's like you could train your mind to be that.
Yeah.
You know,
And you could say it's a
possible.
lesson or a blessing.
But either way, it's going to be one or the other.
It's a lesson or a blessing.
You know, or
And once
or
you
a
see it
letdown.
that way, everything changes.
You know, the 3 L's: a letdown, a lesson, or a blessing, or LLB.
No, never a letdown. Lessons and blessings.
Right. But I mean, letdown when I'm talking about pains, people dying,
Well, yeah.
people suffering, and you know, people going through certain things. You know, those type of those are the downs that we feel. Those are the emotions, and it's important to protect the kids, young kids' emotions.
Yeah.
Too many people put clothes and send them to the best schools and give them the best clothes and give them the best of everything, but you know, they leave them upstairs or they leave them alone, and the kid's emotional. That's the important part of
You
it.
know, hug them and kiss them, man. They're human beings. You know, even monkeys, when they're trying to make up, they're like picking each other's lice. They pet each other. We're supposed to touch each other. We're supposed to hug your brother, embrace your brother, your sister. Tell them, don't be afraid to tell your brother you love him.
Yeah.
Like, yo, I love you, man. Like, there's nothing wrong with telling someone that you actually love, that you love them. If they feel weird about it, that's on them. That's not on you. You know?
So my thing is,
Sometimes, go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, my thing is, you know, you did all this research, you study, you try to share that knowledge and wisdom with other people. The most frustrating thing for me during my journey of doing that was when people don't listen.
Yeah.
And it just frustrates you because it's like you don't realize the value of what I'm trying to give you
Yeah.
because somebody that you think should have validated hasn't validated it, so you dismiss it.
Yeah, and I've been
You
through
know,
that
you don't
too.
have a white jacket on that says MD, so how do you know? And
Yeah,
my
that's-
doctor would have told me that. Oh, you're not an
that's
attorney,
fine.
so how do you know? You're not a this, how do you know? So the frustrating part for me anyway was trying to help people and knowing that the information you're sharing with them would have been of value, but they just reject it just
Yeah.
because of where it came from.
Yeah, and I think it's all about setting, right? So, like, if I'm in a spot where people are seeking that information out, then they're more likely to be receptive to
Yeah.
it. If
Not always.
When they're seeking it, when they're seeking
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
When they're seeking it,
if
true.
they're seeking,
So
yeah.
that's a mindset.
Yeah,
I
so-
agree. If your mind is set to seek the knowledge that you need,
You're
to,
ready for it.
Yeah, you're ready for it, because that, again, you're right. People retain information in different ways at different times.
Yeah.
But that's something you have to.
So
be
I
ready
had to learn, like, a long time ago that, you know, I try to share things with people and help them or whatever. But you can't really, like you said, you can't force it on them. When they're ready to listen, they listen. Outside of that, you just, you know, you be the light. You just live a certain way. You just, you know, talk a certain way, act a certain way, and you know, if that way should align with what you're trying to tell this person without even telling them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's true. You have to, like, just like you said, be the light, be the example, and like, if they're not ready, then they're on their own journey. They're just
Yeah.
not there yet. You know, just like when we were given information at a certain point in our lives, we didn't listen because we weren't ready.
Right.
You know, you got to be patient with them too, man.
Right.
It's like,
That's
and
why.
hopefully they'll be ready
That's
one
why
day.
life's
Sometimes
all
they're
about
not.
timing.
But
You know.
your time's running out. You know, no one knows if tomorrow's going to
Nobody's
come for
promised
them.
tomorrow.
It's going to come. I mean, you may not be a part of it. So sometimes you have to take that gift of wisdom and knowledge and understanding when you get it. Like, you may not get another opportunity.
Well, that's a good way. That's another.
So when people say, well, it's not my time, no, it's your time. If somebody's in front of you sharing something of value, that's a time for you to receive it, and whether you use it or not, it's up to you. But to say, I'm not ready to receive that yet.
Well, that used to be me. I used to be like, I never got baptized for a long time because I was like, oh, I'm not ready, because I'm thinking I got to live a certain way and act a certain way and be a certain way for God to accept me, you know what I'm saying? But I really had to learn is like God created me, right? I made my mistakes, I made my decisions and my choices, but He created me in the likeness of Him, so He already loves me for who I am, and it's not me who's gonna fix me, but God who's gonna fix me. So I had to realize that and say, and then this is what happened. I was sitting in church, and I was like, "Oh wait, I might not make it to tomorrow." I said, "Pastor, get that water bottle, dump it over my head,
But
pray over me."
That's wisdom.
You know what I'm
See, 'cause
saying?
wisdom will teach you
Yeah.
that You
just it hits you
that
one
growth,
day and you're like, wait.
tomorrow is not guaranteed. So
Yeah.
when
You were ready then.
Yeah, I was I was never gonna be ready.
exactly.
But I mean, at that moment.
I was never gonna
You
be
made a
ready. I was never gonna fix me. It was giving myself over to God and saying, asking God, you fix me because I'm not gonna be able to
guide
do
me.
it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because if it's up to me, I got myself where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? I got myself in prison. I got myself away from my kids. I got myself like half dead, shot, stabbed. Like, you know what I'm saying?
When that happened for me, I literally walked across my yard. I walked in and I looked up on the screen and everybody was getting baptized, and I'm like, I need that.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't know anyone there. I didn't know anyone there. I didn't say hi to anyone. I walked in. I was up there. They were giving their testimony, and I'm like, I need
That's
that.
what it is, right
I
there.
need that. I said, I need that. I don't know what, how, why. All I know is I started asking questions after, and one thing led to another, and it was a part of my comeback, part of we rise. That's what we do. We don't stay down. Listen, life's gonna. If you're in, like I said, if you're in a good situation, it's gonna change. Life will hit you.
What do they say? That you're either going in a battle, coming out of a battle, or currently in a. You're either going in, you're in, or you're coming out of a battle.
It's a constant struggle, constant fight.
Yeah.
So let me say, you said you started your own website.
So yeah, I basically was like, okay, I don't have the money to pay someone to do a website, so I just did some research and made it on my own.
Wow.
So I
What's on your websites for people out there who are wondering and who remember you, like we had somebody just remember you,
Yeah.
and from Whole Foods and helping them out with their supplemental needs and such and forth. So tell us what's on your site and what are you trying to promote?
All right, so basically the website is called livinglonglives.com. And the reason for that is because everything can be tied to someone wanting to stick around a little bit longer, like just living a little longer, or just the quality of their life can be a little bit better, if not to live longer. But to also tie in little tips where you may not equate that are taking years off your life, where you're just doing something wrong, but you just don't know about it. I could kind of like let you know, hey, did you know that leg strength equates to longer life? And you're like, how's that? Well, what happens to 70-year-olds or 65-year-olds when they trip and fall? They break their hip and they're never the same. Give them 10 more years and they're done.
They talk about people dying right after you do that, right?
That's it. So if your leg strength and dexterity is on point, you might be able to avoid that fall. Therefore, you live
legs
longer.
tomorrow.
Just one little thing.
I already said we got a rollout car. Yeah, if you want to see it.
Doing legs tomorrow.
He's out. No, we get him in office. Get Marvin.
Oh my God.
Marvin, your office. Take Marvin's trucks down.
I just need my memory pillow.
You're gonna hang up. You're gonna hang up.
Curly's trucks now.
You're gonna pull his apron.
Retire his apron from Whole Foods.
You gotta put your shoulder into it.
Yeah.
Retire his
We're gonna
apron.
do a ceremony with his apron.
There you go. There you go.
Move your trucks over.
No, you're not moving my trucks.
I will say though, there's a lot of dummy content on the website because it's pretty new. And also definitely read the article on probiotics. It's the first one on the front. I did a lot of research plus stuff that I know plus experience, so that's a good one to read. I'm gonna be adding a ton of content. I'm actually you can follow on Instagram too, Living Long Lives. It's the same thing every day. I post one or two different things, whether it's fat burning or little exercise tips. Important studies that can affect you greatly. If just things that you may not be aware of, or you may be aware of, but can also be encouraging to kind of like do the right thing. And it's a teacher for me too, because I'm a human being. I'm not always doing the right thing. So, but if I feel like people are dependent on me, then I'm more likely to do the right thing. Just for also people can follow, like you said, be the light.
Yeah, absolutely.
And let's see, so that's kind of like my angle. I just want people to have good, consumable information that's easy to digest, Google friendly and people friendly. At the moment, I'm actually coming out with I'm writing like a small little booklet. It's called the top 6 supplements everybody should have. Whether you get it from your food, which is going to be very tough, or just supplement, right? So the whole gist of it is like, what are those supplements? Number 1, vitamin D. And I could go into a million different reasons why vitamin D should be the number 1 supplement.
magnesium, omega-3s, a green supplement. And you can go on and on. But if you give too much, then it's not a bite size, right? So in order to form a habit, you need to just form one habit, then form another habit. Next thing you know, you got a nice structure on which to build upon. So I'm going to go all out, quoting a lot of research, benefits, and what happens if you are lacking these minerals, the kinds of diseases that you can see later on, the association.
Right.
And so I'm probably like a third of the way done, but every day I'm writing about 4 or 5 pages. It's going to be, so 2 different formats. It's going to be something that you can download, and then the other one I'm actually going to narrate little by little. That one's probably going to be like a paid, like $2, $3, $4,
Now, also, we talked about the house and market, so finally for you, you are our real estate agent, and how if somebody wanted to utilize your services, how would they find you?
They can find me at KerleyVinas.com, KerleyVinas.com. That's going to be the website that's related to my real estate business, and that's my main, thing, how I make money. So I have a part-time at T-Mobile. So the way that I live my life is my part-time pays for my expenses, and whatever I make in real estate, I don't touch. I feel like, anything can happen in life, especially having 3 young children. I want to be able to pull from something. I can't live life reckless how I used to live back in the day. Too many people are dependent on me, and I can't have an irresponsible life with so many responsibilities. My parents are older. Anything can happen. You got to be able to do something, So I was at a point in my life where, I thought, my dad died, so I can't even bury them. That's not a comfortable.
That's a bad feeling.
It's a horrible feeling, and I don't want to live with that guilt. It's just it's avoidable.
Good stuff.
Just things that you got to contemplate as you get older, man, and really take action, so you don't put that burden on yourself and build bad momentum where your mind goes on this roller coaster, and then you're pulling all this reasons as to why you're not good enough, and you got to be able to forgive yourself and take action. If you don't take action, that forgiveness is for nothing.
Well, I think that's it right there, because lately it's like I've been listening and paying attention. Motivation only lasts so long. So it's really taking action and being consistent in that action.
I agree.
That's really what gets you to that place, because you don't become, who you are. You become the actions that you take is who you become. You know what I'm saying? The things that you do and the steps you take lead you to who you really become.
That's a really good point, man.
Yeah.
Your actions. It's basically the story you write, right?
It's the story of you. The little small things, the little small decisions, getting up in the morning, like what you do.
Yeah.
There was a major. It was like a Marine guy or an Army guy. He was like, wake up, get up, wake up, make your bed, because
Oh,
you've
I see
already
that. I
accomplished
see that on
something.
Facebook.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
So that type of thinking, So you
First thing
you
in the
change
morning,
your
make your bed.
perspective. You clear your vision.
Yeah, his point was you did something, you accomplished something
Yeah.
right away.
Right away.
And
Right
then
away. So now, what I been talking about with my cousin. Let's go to the gym at 5 a.m.
So I sleep
go.
on the couch. I'm gonna get up and mess my bed up and make it. Right? I sleep on the couch, so I don't mess my bed up.
Well, that's what it means. So you already accomplished it. You're ahead of the game. I
Yeah,
like
but now I
that.
gotta drop the cushions off because they're ripping them.
Yeah.
I gotta get the hoof on this.
So anyway, Todd's gonna appreciate you coming in, man. I'm gonna look
Good
forward
stuff.
to talking to you some
Thank
more
you,
and get
man.
some more
Curly, you
knowledge and
got an office
understanding.
here, but we'll talk about that after.
I just want to plug in. I got a friend that's coming out with a really good supplement, man. It's the name of the company is called Vigor Vida. So it's basically vigor and life. It has some really good ingredients. It's gonna be launching soon. He's gonna be, the mom and pop stores. He's trying to just have the average person have access to that. So you'll find it on my website and on also on my Instagram. So it's not just about me. It's just everyone that has something that I believe can help someone. I'm down to promote anybody, man.
Thank you for coming in, brother. Appreciate
Thank
you.
you for having me, guys.
Todd, bring us home,
All right,
homie.
check it out.
Oh,
Isaiah
put those
50,
guns away, Jared. We had a nice conversation. You're pulling guns out up in there. What's the matter with you?
Isaiah 50.
Stretch it.
All right, I'm
Sorry.
ready. The Lord is about to speak. Isaiah 55. Seek ye the Lord while he may be found. Call ye upon him while he is near. Let the wicked forsake his way, and the unrighteous man his thoughts. And let him return to the Lord, and he will have mercy upon him, and to our God, for he will abundantly pardon.
There you go.
Bang.
Amen.
Brought us in. Here it is.
Bring it in.
It's time,
You guys,
Curly.
wait,
It's
wait,
time,
take it
Curly.
out. It's time, Curly.
Here we
There you
go.
go.
That's
I
it.
think I need my whole hands for my eyes.
Till next week, folks.
We rise.
That's scary, man. You might scare people.
I love that picture with his eyes.
They wanna keep us low. They think that we don't know. So we gon' show them that this kingdom about to rise up. They wanna keep us low. They think that we don't know. So we gon' show them that this kingdom about to rise up. Rise, 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 messengers of Jesus Christ, fighting till we see his kingdom. They wanna keep us low. They think that we don't know. So we gon' show them that this kingdom about to rise up. They wanna keep us low. They think that we don't know.